To be great at anything in life, whether it be sport or business, you've got to learn to love, absolutely love being competitive. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why it's so important and how you can be competitive too. Not only can you be competitive, but you learn to love being competitive. And I'm going to tell you what it can do for you. So please like and subscribe down below and watch more videos. So I'm going to reveal exactly why you should be competitive and also why you should love it, learn to love it. So think of any of your sporting heroes from history, the ones that you really look up to, that you aspire to be like, you admire. Do you think they've learned to love being competitive? Do you think that they had fears and anxieties? This, okay, of course they did. That comes with the added pressure of being great. You know, the better you become, the higher you climb, the more the competition is. So you have got to learn to love that, embrace it, because you know that higher competition is coming. That's the price you pay. So it can work for you, or it can work against you. So I would rather it worked for me. So you've got to embrace it. And what's stopping you from loving competitiveness and being competitive? Well, some people just they love practice. They love being, let's use sport for example. They love being a part of sport. They love the friendships, the socialness of it. They love the physical aspect, the exercise. That's where you get endorphins. It feels good, keeps you fit, keeps you healthy. They love the strategic thinking. They love the technical aspects. But somehow they don't love the competitiveness. Why? Because it exposes them. It really exposes them, exposes their fears, their anxieties, and that doesn't feel good. Physically, that doesn't feel good. It makes some people feel sick and exactly, throw up. So why is that? Because the fears that you're being exposed to are fear of failure. Maybe I'm not good enough, and I'm going to be found out. So when you're up against an opponent that's trying to prove that they're good enough, so there's got to be a loser, and there's that word loser. Who wants to be a loser? You don't want to be exposed to that and labeled a loser, because that becomes a habit. What does that say about you for the rest of your life? You don't want to be known as a loser to your friends, your fans, your family. So there's pressure, and that comes from being competitive. Someone's got to lose. There's points. Sports measured. There's points. There's goals, trophies, medals. Got to be a loser. But losing's only temporary. So it's another game. It's another match. Another point. Because what I always say is you either win or learn. So get rid of that word, losing. So why else would they not like to love being competitive? Because they have anxiety. And that might be from a non-related thing to sport, but it's still anxiety nonetheless. And how can you perform your best if you've got anxiety? How can you perform your best if you've got all these fears? Fear of being judged, maybe a fear of success. You don't like the attention that you're getting. And as I said, the better you get, the more competitive it becomes, the more the mind games come to play, the more the criticism from press, the more the pressure to perform from your team, your coach, yourself. It requires more. So every level requires more of you. And that goes the same for your opponents. Your opponents have the same pressure. They're putting themselves under more. The higher the levels that they get, there's more expectation. And then you've got to think about players who are supposedly better than you, worse than you. Are you expected to beat them or not? A lot of pressure. So why would you love being competitive? Well, if you want to aspire to greatness, then you've got to embrace this. It's a bit like imposter syndrome. If you're feeling a bit like an imposter, you're out of your comfort zone then. Because it's somewhere you haven't been. So of course you're going to feel like an imposter. But that's a price of admission for succeeding. You're moving towards your goals, your legacy, your mission. So the heat increases. Imagine, let's use the analogy of the sun. So say the sun is where you're trying to get to. That's where the light is. That's where the warmth is. But the closer you get, the hotter it gets. It's more intense. You feel it more. You feel it more physically. So the closer you get to your goals and missions, your legacy, you're going to feel the heat. You're going to feel the pressure. You've got to respect that. You've got to flip this around in your head that competition is good. Sports competition, business competition, sometimes relationships can be competition. You've got to embrace the competitive. That means you're in the right arena, you're in the right place. You've got to figure out a way to navigate through it. So embrace it first of all, because if you're up against an opponent, what you've got to know is either they're embracing it, they're loving it, or they're not. So most people don't. I mean, a lot of people can still compete without being truly competitive. They're not really, they're aware of it. They know what's required, but they're not loving it. They're not embracing it and using it against their opponents. You've got to use this against your opponents. This has got to be your driving force. So if it's not theirs, well, then where's your advantage? You're embracing competitiveness. Maybe you're at a similar level in talents and abilities. How do you get your edge? Your edge isn't here, it's your attitude towards being competitive. And it doesn't feel good at first, but if you think of the top sports performers, they didn't start at the top. Sure, they might have talent and abilities and maybe a bit of luck along the way, but they had to get used to, slowly but surely, competition. They started to love it because they learned from it. So even if they lost, it was a lesson. It wasn't a defeat. Didn't say anything about them. It's part of a process. It's just part of a process. That has to be your attitude. It's part of a process where you grow, you learn, you improve, you get better. And you're also training your mind to get used to this. It's familiar, it's comfortable, but you're always pushing that edge of comfort. You're not overwhelming yourself, but you're always pushing it, adding a layer, adding a layer. You're building bricks, you're building foundations, you're building a wall. And if yours is bigger and stronger than the next person's, who's going to survive the contest? It's going to be you. So learn to love being being competitive, and the competitiveness of the battle, the game. So if you think of sport as a game, it's not life and death really. It's a game, but competitiveness is life. It's in your blood. It's part of your survival. It tests you. You need to be tested physically, mentally, even spiritually. You test yourself. day in, day out. Now you can do so much in practice, but there's nothing like something that matters. A game, a tournament, a challenge, something that matters to get your juices flowing, or something's on the line. So you've got to embrace that. Consistently put yourself in those positions. Don't shy away. Don't hide. You know, that's where you're found out. You're not going to get found out if you're actually being competitive. And as I said earlier, you're deemed to lose because you're not. If you don't, you've already lost before you start. So if you're hiding, shying away, not loving being competitive, you've already lost. You're beaten. You're hiding. You're already found out. And it doesn't matter if anybody else knows that, but you know it. So feel your way forward. Dare to try things, even in the heat of battle. Dig in. There's so many sporting events have been won by heart. So have a heart. Find it in your heart to be competitive and challenge yourself and get out there, put yourself forward and make it happen. So love being competitive. That is your superpower. Thanks for watching. I'm Robert Anderson. Watch this next video. You'll find it super useful, and don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate it a lot. Bye.